Hey everyone, Chris here from VarsityGaming, and welcome to the 7th episode of Siege School. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Mira and her black mirrors. Mira is the 5th DLC defending operator. She's a 3 armor 1 speed operator who puts down black mirrors on unreinforced or reinforced walls. They are a one-way mirror where you can look through from the side that you place them, and since they're bulletproof, they act as a way for defenders to see through walls. On each mirror, there's a canister. This canister can be broken, at which point the glass will fall and anyone can shoot through. The glass itself takes a total of 2 exact seconds to drop from the moment the canister is broken. So that means when you hear the canister broken, you have 2 full seconds to react, whether you destroyed it or not. Now let's move on to her loadout. Mira has 2 options when it comes to primary weapons: her SMG, the Vector, and her shotgun, the ITA-12L. While the ITA shotgun has been confirmed to be the highest damaging shotgun in the game, it is usually not the best pick. I personally believe Mira's Vector is by far the best gun you can use on her. It's the 2nd fastest firing gun in the game, but also has the lowest damage. Regardless, though, in Siege, headshots is all that matters. It does not matter how much damage your gun does as long as it hits the head. And because of that, the Vector is a headshot machine. And on top of that, it just works really well with her kit. And generally, when you're using Mira, you're going to be shooting at distances. It's very rare that an attacker is going to walk straight up to the black mirror. Instead, they're usually going to keep their distance. And if you're using a primary shotgun, really the black mirrors are only going to be used as an intimidation factor, which, while can be useful, is not using the mirrors to their full potential. So I personally think that the Vector is the best primary gun. Now as far as secondaries go, I think the ITA-12S is the only option. Mira and Jack are the only 2 operators in the entire game that can use a shotgun as a secondary weapon. And while it has very, very little range and very little damage compared to the ITA-12L, it is still very powerful to have. Now as far as gadgets go, Mira is allowed to have a nitrocell or a deployable shield. Personally, I'd much rather choose the nitrocell. The nitrocells have some synergy with the black mirrors. You can toss a nitrocell through a broken black mirror and get someone on the other side. Meanwhile, deployable shield's really not going to do much. Generally, you're going to be using your black mirrors on reinforced walls, so a deployable shield won't really help you at all. So unless you absolutely need a deployable shield, I always recommend that you bring a nitrocell instead. So to summarize, the ideal kit is a Vector with the ITA-12S shotgun as a secondary and a nitrocell. There are definitely different loadouts that you can try, but I feel like for the most part this is the ideal loadout for the average player. Now that we have Mira's loadout covered, I'm going to talk about one of the most common strategies using Mira in the game, which is the double mirror strat. Basically how it works is that you use both of her black mirrors next to each other on the same wall. In most cases you put them at the exact same height and as close together as possible. You want very little space between the 2 of them because the more space there is between them, the harder it is to line up your shot. So ideally after you place the first mirror, you want to hold the second mirror and move very slowly until it enables you to put down another one. That way you know they're as close together as possible. What you then do is break one of the mirrors. Different maps and situations call for breaking different ones, but I'm not going to get too far into that. So what you then do is use the unbroken mirror to line up your shot. Once you have your shot lined up, you peek through the broken mirror and shoot through. This allows you to safely look at the enemy and know where they're going without them being able to fire back. This strategy works amazingly as long as they don't break the wall or the mirror itself. And strategies like this is why I say the Vector is a better pick over the shotgun. In most cases, wherever you put a double mirror, you're going to be aiming long distances. A shotgun's really not going to help you much here, and you really won't be able to defend the mirrors that well if you can't kill anyone as they're approaching them. And with the Vector as well, you can also pick off unsuspecting people. If they're running out of spawn, rappelling up, or doing whatever it does to take to get close to the mirrors and they don't know it's there, you can easily use the Vector to pick them off at a distance before they can react. The double mirror strat also combos really well with nitrocell, which is why I highly recommend taking it over a deployable shield. The only thing I would say is to be careful when throwing it because it is very easy to get it caught on the mirror itself. And if it gets caught on that, it's pretty much gone, so there's no point in trying to get it back. It's because of this high viability with both the nitrocell and the Vector that the double mirror strat is such a common strategy. However, it's slowly been falling out of favor. The reason for this is because a lot of the maps and locations where you would use the double mirror strategy have been found to be easily counterable by breaking the floor or the roof above the mirrors. Generally, this is not the biggest issue if you have good roamers who know where those spots are and can counter them, but it is kind of risky now. Common double mirror sites which are vulnerable to this are the armory lockers on border, the garage and the master bedroom closet on house, the snowmobile garage on chalet, the boat supplies and pillbox of canal, geisha room of skyscraper, and the garage of consulate. I did consider not telling you guys about all these counters just because the more I tell people about the counters, the more likely they are to counter the double mirror strategy, but I think it's more important to know about them than to not. And remember, just because they destroy the floor or the roof does not mean that they're invincible. You can also peek back at them and generally pick them off as well. And like I said earlier, if you have good roamers, you can easily call out where they are, and the roamer can go to either push them away or to outright kill them. A lot of people get tunnel vision while looking through the floor or the roof, so it's very easy for a roamer to get a kill on them. Now, while this vertical destruction is a huge threat to Mira, the biggest threat facing her is Twitch Drone. Twitch Drone is one of the few things that can actually destroy the canister and drop the glass. This is hugely detrimental to the double mirror strategy, mainly because you already have one broken, so if it destroys the other mirror, then you have nowhere to hide and nowhere to peek from. And instead, the attackers have a huge view into the room because both of your mirrors are broken. And really, there's no real way to counter this. If Twitch Drone gets in and no one notices, your mirrors are pretty much broken already. However, there are some proactive methods that you can take. Usually the best time for the Twitch Drone to strike is during the prep phase, because a lot of people won't notice it since it's silent and it's not moving around too quickly. So really the best way to prepare for this is to not put down your mirrors until all of your other equipment's already down and the prep phase is over. This way you won't be distracted doing other things while your mirrors just sit idly by. And if you're looking to run a double mirror strategy, usually the best course of action is to not destroy either of the mirrors until both Twitch drones are destroyed or you have a shot lined up on somebody. Because if you destroy one of the mirrors right away, Twitch drone only has to destroy one other mirror and then your strategy is completely useless. But if you leave up both of them, Twitch drone can destroy one of them and it really won't matter. As long as you're able to react in time and destroy the drone before it breaks both canisters, then you should be fine. Alright, we've covered double Mira and we've also covered Twitch drone. Now we're going to move on to operator synergy. These are operators that combo well with Mira and her gadget. The first two are kind of obvious, Bandit and Mute. The reason why these two work so well together with Mira is because it denies Habana the ability to destroy her mirrors easily. If you have no jammers or shock wire on the reinforced wall where your mirror is, then Habana can easily shoot her pellets at the glass and destroy it. Bandit and Mute are really good for this because it can completely deny her the ability to break the mirror if they don't have a Thatcher or a Twitch ready. The next operator that combos really well with Mira is Jaeger. He has a lot of synergy with Mira when she's running the double mirror strategy. The reason for this is because since one of the mirrors is already open, the attackers can throw grenades through the open mirror. It forces them to waste their grenades and can easily save Mira's life if they were planning to frag her out. And the last operator that I think combos really well with Mira is Castle. Depending on where you're going to put the mirrors, it can be very helpful to have a castle right next to you. There's a lot of places where mirrors would be really good if it wasn't for that window right next to them. Putting a castle there can help you out. It prevents attackers from wallbanging you when you're trying to hold a location, and also gives you a fair warning if you hear them about to breach. On the overall, there are very few places where castle is needed when you choose Mira, but it can be a huge asset to the team. Besides that, the other defending operators really don't have anything that is absolutely necessary to defend the Miras. So if you're looking to help someone who chose Mira, or you're asking someone to help you, consider choosing one of these operators. Now I'm going to do a quick overview of 3 different topics, just because we're running a little low on time. 1 being other mirror strategies, 2 being tricks to counter Habana, and 3 mirror management. So number 1, other mirror strategies. Double mirror is not the only strategy that people run, there's also other tactics. Other strategies include putting mirrors on single reinforced walls and then having an unreinforced wall next to it. If you put the mirror as close to the edge of the reinforced wall as you can, then you can use the unreinforced wall to shoot through. This tactic is pretty common, but it also leaves Mira in a vulnerable state. It's very easy for the attackers to destroy the wall, and that means they can get an easier angle on Mira. However, in a peeking contest, Mira will almost always win. Another strategy is putting a Mira off-site to watch the objective. This is also very common in secure areas. You can know that they're inside the room, and then you can just pick them off when you see them. Usually you put in an adjacent room that can see into the entire objective room, and that way you have easy angles no matter where they are. And the last mirror strategy I want to talk about is what I like to call the see-through tactic. I'm not entirely sure what people call this in competitive scene, but I usually call it see-through. Generally what it's composed of is putting a mirror on an outside facing wall from the objective and then putting another one inside the objective or in an adjacent room that can see through the first mirror. This is a tactic that I run on armory lockers for border. You put one mirror inside the small office and then you put another mirror on the wall facing outside. You can see through both mirrors to the outside and you'll know when they're pushing. Now we're going to move on to the second quick topic, countering Habana. There's a very interesting interaction between Habana and Mira, which I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but it does always work in Mira's favor if you know how to use it to your advantage. If Habana shoots all of her pellets on the glass of the mirror, you can break the canister to drop the glass. You can then choose to either shoot all of the pellets or just let them explode. They'll just be floating in the air, and when they explode then, they won't actually destroy the frame of the mirror itself. So while you'll be losing the glass to look through, it won't make such a big hole in the wall. Instead, it'll just be a regular broken mirror. But if you choose to leave the glass up, once one of the pellets explodes, it also destroys the frame of the mirror itself, so it makes an even bigger hole. And the last quick topic is mirror management. A lot of the times when you put down your mirrors, other people want to manage them or look through them. The unfortunate reality of it is that it's very hard for multiple people to look through one mirror. So on the overall, if someone's already watching a mirror, let them have it and don't get in their way. It doesn't matter if you think you can line up a shot better than them, just let them control it. This is where communication is key, but I know that's not always possible. And I do want to add in just one last quick thing before we finish the information segment. Please, no matter what you do, never put the mirrors in direct line of sight of a window or door. I can't tell you how many times someone has put a mirror in direct view of a window and the attacking team is just able to shoot it, open it, and then just have free range on us. If you chose mirrors specifically for one objective but instead your team voted for another one, honestly sometimes not putting them down at all is the best call. There's no point of putting them down just to put them down if it's just going to give the opponents an easy window into your room. Put them down for a purpose and don't put them in direct view of the enemy. And that is it for the information segment of this video. I know this one ran a little longer than normal, and that's just because I play Mira a lot and there's a lot of things that I want to cover with this. But with that all covered, now we're going to move on to the game show segment. For those of you who don't know, basically I ask you a question, give you 10 seconds on the clock, and you have to come up with your answer to the question. After the 10 seconds is up, I'll give you guys my answer and my opinion on why it's right. And as always, remember, I'm not always necessarily right. There's a lot of different variables that go into every single situation. This is just a broad overview and possible answer to the scenario. But after I give my answer, compare yours to mine, and if you think it was close enough, then give yourself a point. At the end of the quiz, I'll put up a score to tell you how well you did based on how many questions you got right. Now with that all covered, let's get into the questions. Question 1. Does placing a Mira black mirror destroy an exothermic charge? With 10 seconds on the clock, go. Time's up, and the answer is yes. When timed perfectly, the explosion that the mirror causes to destroy the reinforced wall so it can see through actually destroys thermite charges. I highly advise against trying this in an actual ranked game, but if the situation ever arises, you know that it will destroy it. This also goes for unreinforced walls as well. As long as the mirror can see through where the thermite charge is placed, then it'll destroy it. Question 2. This is more of a scenario. You're defending secure area on Hereford Base in the basement. Here are all the walls on the bottom floor. Where should you place your 2 black mirrors? With 10 seconds on the clock, go. And time's up. And the correct answer is on this wall here where the arrow is pointing at, and on either of these 2 walls. Preferably the one with the blue arrow, but the white arrow is also acceptable. So the reason why I say that the blue arrow takes precedent over the white arrow is because if you put both the mirrors in the red-white corner, then if either one of them gets destroyed, then the attackers have direct line of sight on the other mirror from both locker room and ladder room. As soon as one is destroyed, so is the other, and then that corner is absolutely useless. But if you set it up with blue and red and then also reinforce the white wall, then if the blue mirror gets destroyed, they don't have line of sight on the red one unless they get really close to it. If they destroy the blue mirror, then they can't get line of sight on the red mirror from locker room unless they get really close up against the mirror. However, if they do destroy the red mirror, then they do have direct line of sight on the blue one from ladder room. But there's much less crossover and much less risk of both mirrors being destroyed at the same time. So if you choose mirror for this site, I highly recommend blue and red wall, and then also reinforcing white wall so that they can't shoot the red mirror easily. Question 3. Can explosives like a nitrocell or a frag grenade destroy the canister on the black mirrors? With 10 seconds on the clock, go. And the answer is no. The only thing that can destroy the canisters in the black mirror mirrors are a melee hit, a shock drone taser, or a bullet. Nothing else in the game will destroy it. Question 4. This is another scenario. You're defending the basement of house. Game mode is irrelevant here. You're running the double mirror strategy on the small garage. Do you open the left mirror or the right mirror? With 10 seconds on the clock, go. And the answer is the right one. The reason for this is because from the outside, if you destroy the left mirror, the enemies will be able to see directly behind the white van, which is where a lot of defenders like to hide when the attacking team is pushing the large garage. So if they're to breach the big garage, then you can't hide behind white van anymore, and you'll only have people hiding in the little corner next to the unbroken right mirror. But if you destroy the right mirror instead of the left mirror, then that means the attacking team can only see towards the boat side, which really doesn't help them much, and the defending team can still hold behind the white van and hold the mirror as well. So that way you can hold both small garage and large garage from the same point. And it's time for the bonus question. If you're Mira, what is an appropriate reaction if another defender keeps trying to peek your mirrors while you're managing them? With 10 seconds on the clock, go. Time's up. If Andy has taught us anything, it's that if someone peeks the same mirror as you, the only appropriate response is to team kill them.
I'll press to get out of here before I shoot it.
Hey, no.
Andy, did you actually just team kill him for no reason?
No, he wasn't from a shot.
Because let's be honest here, it's not like we need that other teammate. We can get rid of them and still win the match. And that is it for today's episode of Siege School. Thank you very much guys for watching, and I hope you guys learned something new. As promised before, here are the scores based on how many questions you got right in today's episode. Let me know in the comments down below how many you guys got right, as I'm genuinely curious because I did actually increase the difficulty even more for today's episode. I want to go with more situations because a lot of people were saying that the questions I was asking were way too broad and way too easy. And quickly before I go, as usual I want to add 2 small plugs. 1, I stream on Twitch every single day starting at noon, and I always play Siege. So if you want to watch, just make sure to follow the link on the screen or in the description below. There you can ask me any question you want in chat, and I'll always make sure to answer it. I read every single comment in chat whenever I can. And 2, the Siege School shirt is available on our store. It's also available with a couple other designs, so if you want to take a look at those, feel free to. Buying this merch is a good way for you guys to get something while also supporting my channel. So if you're interested in buying anything or even just taking a look, follow the link down in the description below or at the end of the video in the end slate. And that's it for my plugs. Thank you very much for everyone who watched. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the series as much as I'm enjoying making them. And that's it for me today. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.